all work and no play is the definitive cure for a long and happy life. Work and play. The inverted medicine. The sentence, like many great aphorisms, pretends to be simple. On first glance, it looks like a close cousin of the old proverb, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. We expect it to follow in that tradition. A gentle warning against monotony, a reminder to enjoy leisure, but it doesn't. This one turns inward, it bends. The opening clause, all work and no play, doesn't deviate. We think we know what it means, the draining life of productivity, the mechanical repetition of obligation, the gray machinery of the schedule. But the back half of the line goes rogue. Instead of condemning this pattern, it elevates it. Not only is it not bad, it's the cure. Not only does it fail to ruin your life, it ensures that your life is long and happy, definitively. And that's the joke, right? Maybe, or maybe not. The brilliance of this short lies in its refusal to clarify whether it's being ironic or deadly earnest. It resists that comfort. It leaves the reader drifting in that uncomfortable space where language might be telling the truth and mocking the truth at once. This is linguistic jujitsu. The line submits the reader by using their own assumptions against them. Second, semantics of the sentence. Let's look carefully at the syntax. All work and no play is the definitive cure for a long and happy life. What does it mean to cure a long and happy life? The key to the sentence's mischief lies in the word cure. In standard usage, to cure something is to fix it, to heal it, to remove a condition or ailment. But here, the thing being cured is a long and happy life, a state most people consider not a disease, but a blessing. So, if work without play is the cure for a long and happy life, then a long and happy life is implicitly being framed as the affliction. Work without play is presented as the solution to this affliction. This twist of logic weaponizes grammar. It reads like a linguistic poison pill, elegant, grammatical, deadly. What seemed like an endorsement of diligence turns out to be a hex disguised as an adage. In other words, if you want to make sure your life is neither long nor happy, then work all the time and never play. That's the cure. The buried sarcasm. Happy equals sick. To interpret this short as straightforwardly sarcastic is too easy, and also too lazy. It's tempting to simply laugh it off. Clearly the author is being ironic. They're warning us. They're saying, don't work all the time, or your life will be ruined. But that response assumes too much about the tone and not enough about the structure. What if we're not meant to laugh? What if, in a culture where long and happy life has been commodified, commercialized, Instagrammed, self-helped, and injected with motivational bullet points, the author is actually critiquing the idea of a long and happy life itself? In that case, work without play wouldn't be an accidental tragedy. It would be a kind of intentional retreat, a withdrawal from the sentimentalized fantasy of happiness that saturates modern life. Work, with its repetition and suffering and numb discipline, would become a kind of refuge from the cult of happiness. What if the author really is curing themselves, not sarcastically, not bitterly, but out of deep suspicion of what everyone else calls joy? Then it's not a joke, it's a refusal. The fourth, the corporate gospel. There's another reading just as dangerous. The sentence could be read as corporate propaganda. Imagine this sentence framed in chrome, hung on the wall of an open-plan office. All work and no play is the definitive cure for a long and happy life. HR Poster, 2035. In that case, the phrase becomes a satire of motivational culture, the culture of hustle, grind, purpose, drive, sweat, production. The religion of self-improvement that cannibalizes its followers and sells their attention back to them. If we live in a world where wellness is a billion-dollar industry and where sleep is optimized and joy is scheduled, then this sentence becomes the motto of the factory of the soul. This is the gospel of burnout sold as meaning. And in that sense, the fragment is both an accusation and a confession. It shows us the blade, but lets us think we're sharpening pencils. V, the poison of earnestness. Let us not forget the possibility that the speaker means it, not as irony, not as sarcasm, but as instruction. All work and no play is the definitive cure for a long and happy life, they say, and they mean it. Maybe they're tired of feeling, tired of pain, tired of joy that fades, tired of the emotional fragility that comes with love, family, rest, desire, laughter. Maybe they want something they can control. Work, repetition, output, metrics. Maybe what they want is not to feel long or happy, but to survive, precisely by extinguishing the need for joy. They don't want a happy life. They want an immune system against meaning, and for that, work is the perfect medication. Sixth, the finality of definitive. Don't skip over the word definitive. The author doesn't say a likely cure or a strong candidate. They say it's the definitive cure. That word asserts certainty, finality, and exclusivity. There is no alternative, no better fix, no debate. The use of definitive closes the door on ambiguity. It lends the sentence the authority of science, law, or medical certainty. It drapes the sarcasm or sincerity in a white lab coat. This transforms the line from speculation into doctrine, and whether it's spoken by a madman, a preacher, or a CEO, we're supposed to believe this is the one way to cure the disease of the long and happy life. Let that linger. Seventh, linguistic suicide. There's also the possibility that this sentence is designed to self-destruct. Maybe the speaker is saying, "Here, let me show you something." And then they hand you a clean little sentence. And that sentence, if taken literally, will kill something inside you. Maybe it's meant to, maybe it's a virus, a linguistic suicide pill, a fragment of thought so tightly wound, so cleverly framed, that if you bite down and believe it, it starts to dismantle your need for anything beyond the next project, the next quota, the next keystroke, the next task. Because if all work and no play really is the cure, and if you truly take that medicine, then you will never again feel the ache of longing. You'll be too busy working. 8. Against play. Now let's interrogate the absence in this fragment, the word play. What is play? In one sense, play is a suspension of rules, an invitation to frivolity, the playground, the child's world, the irrational, the loose. In another, more dangerous sense, play is a threat to systems. Play is wasteful. Play is unproductive. Play does not submit to efficiency metrics or output logs. Play cannot be quantified. So when the fragment removes play, it's not just removing joy, it's removing interruption, removing unpredictability, removing the last free zone in the architecture of control. If work is the rhythm of obedience, then play is the jazz of defiance. And in this short, that jazz is silenced. 9th, a short history of guilt. There's a deeper layer here, one tied to the history of guilt. Many modern societies are built on the theology of labor, Protestant work ethic, American dream, capitalist productivity. Even in secular cultures, the doctrine persists. Time must be earned, rest must be justified, and the idle must be ashamed. All work and no play becomes not just a pattern, but a penance, a form of virtue signaling. If you suffer enough, you'll be pure. If you toil long enough, you'll be worthy. But if you enjoy your time, if you play, you risk judgment. So maybe this line is telling the truth in its twisted way. Yes, working all the time really does protect you from guilt, from envy, from scrutiny, from your own fear of wasting life. And in exchange, you waste your life. 10. The cult of the cure. The word cure implies that something is wrong. But what's wrong with a long and happy life? In this strange little fragment, we see a world where joy has been recast as disease, and busyness has been rebranded as salvation. The sentence offers a diagnosis. The disease is life itself, too long, too full, too unpredictable, and the cure is to shrink it down to labor. It's not just dark, it's not just funny, it's prophetic, because there are entire systems that would love for you to believe this. There are governments, corporations, bureaucracies, and inner demons who whisper this exact sentence into your ear every morning. Don't dream, don't rest, don't laugh, don't wander. Just get back to work. It's the cure. 11th, echoes and variants. We can now test some variations. All play and no work is the definitive cure for a short and miserable life. Some work and some play is the balanced formula for a mostly tolerable life. Only play, no work is the door to madness. Only work, no play is the door to numbness. Each of these lines feels flatter, weaker, less elegant. Why? Because the original fragment doesn't explain itself. It weaponizes brevity. It pretends to endorse what it undermines. It hides its claws. The magic is in the misalignment between structure and message, between what's said and what's implied, and that's what makes it brilliant. 12th, the final condition. What is this sentence, really? It is not an aphorism. It is not a joke. It is not a lesson. It is a condition, a test, a sentence you say when you've already crossed a line, a phrase spoken not to warn, but to describe the speaker's own state. They are already gone, already cured, and now they're telling you the dosage. 13th epilogue. To whom it may concern. Let's say you're reading this on a Monday. You've got deadlines stacked like bricks. You haven't laughed in 3 days. You haven't rested in 3 years. You're barely holding it together. You see this line, all work and no play is the definitive cure for a long and happy life. And something inside you blinks, not because it's wrong, not because it's funny, but because it's familiar. You've already taken the pill, and now you're wondering if there's an antidote. Let this be your moment of resistance. Let this be your reminder. A long and happy life is not a disease, and play is not the enemy of work. It is the oxygen of it.